like apart from your role as a researcher and a mentor, you also shouldered responsibilities as the director at NCL and CSIR. We would be very interested to know your journey at NCL and any experiences that you can share for us.
Yeah. See, NCL is a great laboratory, very frankly, and I was very privileged to be chosen as its director. I'll tell you, you can't imagine the kind of situation in 1989. This was 2 years before liberalization. And we're still a poor country. Today we talk about $2,000 GDP per capita. At that time we were $200. Can you just imagine? We're so poor. So the first experience as NCL director was that we were always copying. We were always reverse engineering.
Mm-hmm.
There was no innovative research that was being done. You get my point.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we were great in generic drugs. That means anybody who discovers a new drug, within 18 months, we'll be able to copy it. Anybody develops a new pesticide, we'll be able to copy it. But in science, you don't keep on copying, you know. You have to create something of your own, right? But anytime we got an idea which was ahead of the rest of the world, and I went to Indian industry, take it. They would say, no, 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 but has America done it? Has Japan did it? Done it? Has Europe done it? If they have not done it, how can you do that? You get my point. Today, our Prime Minister says Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? But Atmanirbhar Bharat you can't create without Atmavishwas, self-confidence. We had no self-confidence at that point in time, all right? That we can do it. Then I remember, so then what do I do? I said, my God, so will I spend my life, that means all of us scientists, just copying, copying, copying and copying. So on the very first day, 1st June 1989, when I took over, I remember I addressed all the 1200 staff. At 9 o'clock, our laboratory opened. At 11 o'clock, I spoke. That does not mean that I spoke, I mean, I thought about what I'm going to say in those 2 hours. I was thinking about 2 months on what I'm going to say. That speech took 2 months of preparation. And then I excited the scientists. I said, this is the situation. Let us be not national chemical laboratory. Let us be international chemical laboratory. Because what I'm saying, I'm selling knowledge, new knowledge. What is my market? Is India my only market? No. The whole world is my market. And therefore, let us have clients who will be even multinational companies. And I remember General Electric was a great company, and they had some breakthroughs in polymers and so on. And I was doing polymer science and engineering. So I was fascinated. I said we should be able to transfer technology even to G. G were the dadas, no. Now what you are saying is that we'll sort of, we're begging and borrowing from them. Now we'll say, here is what we are giving. I remember one young man came to me and he said, sir, G's research and development budget is 2.5 times India's R&D budget. How can you expect to be ahead of them? So I said, let my guru, Professor M.M. Sharma has told me, it is not the power of budget, but power of ideas that matter. And since you talked about G, we will take on G. And then I'll tell you what happened. I'll not get into technical details, but I had gone into modeling and simulation, basically. And that modeling and simulation had, I was doing on what was called as a polyethylene terephthalate, PET, you know, your polyester fiber that we have. So
Yes.
end to end, yeah. So I was doing something. And there was this, you know, when we make these bottles of this kind, okay, as against fiber, these are done by solid state polycondensation. And fiber is done by melt spinning, okay? These are two different processes. So I said, why can't we do polycarbonate also by solid state polycondensation? And I talked to a scientist, he says, sir, if that was possible, General Electric would have done it because they are market leaders, 40% market share. I said, maybe it didn't occur to them. All right. And then a couple of our students actually did that work. And we found you can do great solid state polycondensation of polycarbonate. Now you would say, what is the fun? You are not doing in the melt, you are doing it solid state. Because the CDs, the compact discs, are made of polycarbonate. Okay. And therefore, the impurities hamper the quality. And once you do it at solid state, you are doing it at a lower temperature. And therefore, the side reactions are less, impurities are less, and so on and so forth. So that was the breakthrough, I would say. By that time, what I had done was that I had changed the culture of NCL. You asked me, what is your experience on NCL? Can you imagine, in 39 years, we did not have a single US patent because we did not have simply the awareness about the importance of patenting, all right? Because patenting gives you the rights to explore the knowledge, exploit the knowledge for a limited period of time. So we're just publishing. So I changed the entire philosophy of NCL. I said, not publish or perish, patent, publish and prosper. So first you must patent. So what happened when we got this breakthrough? We had a US patent, filed for a US patent. That was one of our first US patents, by the way. Then comes the next story. That is interesting. The interesting part was that the same General Electric had invited me to speak in Schenectady. And then by that time, the US patent was granted. So suddenly, they had not even heard the name of NCL. And suddenly they find that here is some Indian mind from some unknown lab who have done something which is ahead of our thinking. Who are they? So by afternoon, they made me meet their business people. By evening, their vice president came and he had got the news that there is some crazy Indian, who has come and his lab has done something, etc. He made me change my flight, meet me. And then they sent a team there to really validate, because there is not much trust, many times they feel Indians just brag and all that, etc. So they came and they found that was for real. And then they wanted to have a partnership with us. And that's a very important thing. Then he asked me to quote how much, then I quoted figures. They say, oh my God, for this we can buy a Russian lab. Because they had come, this team had come via Russia. USSR was collapsing at that time. I said, you can buy that lab, but I don't sell by man hours, I sell by brain hours.
Wow.
So don't go by our salaries. All right?
Wow.
And they came back. I sent them back and they came back. That's what I meant. Atmanirbhar Bharat with Atmavishwas. I had that self-confidence. Otherwise, in the lure of dollars, I would have said, come on, let's take it. And then we created that US patent. That was a breakthrough. And I'm very proud to tell you that this, I spoke on 1st June 1989. And the laboratory, the same people who are doing copying, reverse engineering, they were able to create these breakthroughs. Dr. Sivaram and his students, Aya and my student, Ravindranath. And it is incredible that in 1991, 3 of our patents, US patents, we licensed to General Electric for close to $1 million.
Wow.
$1 million. Now, $1 million is, let's say, 7 to 8 crore today, right?
Yeah.
But you are looking at 89. 89 is 11 plus 20, 31 years ago. And rupee value doubles up every 7 years. So you have to look at that 1 million as into 2,
Around 4, yeah.
$8 million. $8 million, equivalent of that. That means today we are talking about 60 crore. Just based on the power of idea, we were able to license 3 patents for close to 60 crore value today. That's why I've been always saying that the I in India must stand for innovation, not for inhibition, for imitation. Imitation is copying.
Yes.
That's why when Prime Minister says make in India, I said not as assembled in India, invent in India.
Yes,
Invented.
definitely.
Sort of our own. So NCL became not National Chemical Laboratory, but International Chemical Laboratory. And that the young fellow who had told me, I never met him afterwards, but I wish he's somewhere and listening to this, the way transformation. And then what happened was that I became Director General of CSIR, and then we took the same culture to CSIR, by the way. And CSIR, which was close to 0 in patents, rose to a position where in 2002, I remember when the Asian mapping was done in terms of PCT filing, which are called Patents Cooperation Treaty filings, patents, PCT patents. You know who was number one? I'll tell you number two, number three. LG was number two, Samsung was number three, and Huawei, which is a world leader today, was number four, and was number one, CSIR was number one. So from nowhere to no more. That is why this particular book that I've written, Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting.
Wow.
What it means, in Marathi, we will say, Bedu Kudi Nave Hanumanudi. You get my point? What I'm describing to you is not just frog leaping, but pole vaulting. The size of the pole determines the size of your aspiration, So that is what we showed at NCL. That is what we showed at CSIR, that aspirations are your possibilities. I think there is one more point, since we are talking about research, I want to mention to our young students in science. And that is this, in my 5 Mashelkar mantras, this is one of them, by the way. You keep on knocking on the doors of opportunities and they don't open. Then what do? You sit down and you are frustrated. Oh God, right? You lose hope, you start crying. Don't do that. When those doors don't open, create your own doors.
Oh. Yes.
I'll give you the example. So I was trained in what is called as rheology and non-Newtonian fluid mechanics when I came to India. And therefore I wanted to start a lab on rheology and non-Newtonian fluid mechanics. And we required an equipment. That was called Weisenberg rheogoniometer model R18. And that was fundamental. Unless that comes, I can't start research in rheology. You know how much time it would take me? 2 years. Because unlike now, where we have billions of dollars of foreign exchange, we had none at that time. So every rupee that was converted into a dollar, the government looked at it.
Okay.
So there was a DGTD clearance for any equipment that you wanted to order. Does it have to be ordered? There was not manufactured in India certificate, basically. Okay. So it would take me 2 years. So what does it mean? That means that door is not opening. So I just sit there for 2 years. I did not do that. I said, what am I good at? This. So what do I do with this? I went into what is called as modeling and simulation, computer modeling and simulation. Okay. And I was a consultant for Indian Organic Chemicals, which are manufacturing synthetic fibers. All right. And when I went there, it was typical Indian company. You buy a technology, the foreigners tell you, keep this pressure so much, keep this temperature so much, keep this valve here, and then you keep on doing that. You don't know what the hell is happening inside. So I said, I will do modeling and simulation and throw a torch of knowledge in terms of what is happening inside. All right. But allow me to publish this. So I had a student called Raghunath. I said his PhD thesis will be on that. But the benefits of what modeling and simulation you get, like improving your productivity, improving your quality, and making more profit, more money, that will go to you. But the knowledge will be published. And they agreed on that. Okay. And then what happened was that, in fact, we were so superior. The best in that time was DuPont, by the way, in terms of technology. And one of the papers that we had written, by the way, went to Bob Secor, who was heading the R&D of DuPont. The best. All right. We are novices. All right. We have just begun. And in that paper, we had explained something which even DuPont did not know. And he wrote back to Bob Reed, the editor, that these guys have found something which for donkeys years we were working, we had not understood. It's the power of the mind. The most important part was that modeling and simulation that I did was so successful that based on that, I got the highest science prize that you can get when you are less than 45. That is called SS Bhatnagar Prize.
Wow.
If you do 5 years of research. So 77 I started, 82 I got that particular prize. But supposing, because that equipment is not coming, I was just sitting like that, would I have got it?
No.
No. So all these stories that I'm mentioning to you about is for young people to understand that money does not matter. Mind matters. The power of ideas matter. The budgets don't matter. And you are in a far better position than we are today. What conditions that we did our research on? First of all, like I said, equipment, you would take 2 years. Journals would come by sea mail. Computers you talk about, right? I remember there was a 128K. Can you just imagine? ICL 1904 computer, which was at Pune University, and we used to use that. 32K was a big memory at that time. And today, what do you carry in your pocket like this? How many GB would this be? Can you just?
Much more than that.
So you are, what I am saying is that you have everything now. And under those circumstances, if we could do that research, like when I became fellow of Royal Society, after Nobel Prize, it is considered as one of the highest honors. Not the highest, but one of the highest 2-3 honors. And you sign in the same book where Newton has signed. You get my point? But all that research was done under these conditions. There are only 3 engineering scientists in 360 years. We have become fellows of Royal Society, by the way, from India. One is Professor M.M. Sharma, my guru. Second is myself. And third, Professor Raghunath Mashelkar, who passed away just a couple of months ago. All right. So all that we could do without money, just on the strength of the ideas. Okay. And now you are enrolled, so you should be doing better.